All right, so talking about stress today, I think it's pretty relevant to what's been going on. Who's not really stressed right now? So I think the reason why I really wanted to do this, especially coming from a chiropractor's office, is that stress is just one of those things that can cause so many other problems outside of just anxiety feelings. So, your body holds stress in different ways. It causes headaches, it causes low back pain, it causes tension across the shoulders. I mean, it causes all kinds of problems. So, I could do an adjustment on somebody all day long. I could do soft tissue work on them. They can get massages. They can do all kinds of different techniques. But if you don't take care of the root of the problem, those things just keep coming back. And I think the model of the office here is to try and get people to self-manage at home so that they don't need those services all the time. It's trying to create like long-term solutions. So that's why I really wanted to do stress particularly. I think some of the conditions that are related to stress can be headaches, migraines, neck pain, jaw pain, people that clench their teeth. My wife was so stressed out at one point in her life that she was grinding her teeth so bad she fractured a tooth because she was grinding her teeth at night. That's not acceptable. And she's the wife of a chiropractor. She has unlimited access to chiropractic care. She has unlimited access to massage therapy. She has unlimited access to the things that I do for our patients all of the time. And she's cracking teeth. So I had to really step back and say, okay, what's the problem here? Well, why is my wife cracking her tooth? I can only imagine what my patients are going through. This is someone who has unlimited access to care, and she's still cracking teeth, grinding her teeth at night, right? That's not okay at all. So I started doing some research on it, and I found that there's a really, really simple long-term solution to this thing. And most of the people that are patients here have probably heard this already. So I just like to reiterate it again and do like another solid webinar where we just teach it out and try and implement some strategies. And this will be pretty interactive. So if you guys have questions or anything, just put them in the comments, and I'll try and answer your questions too. So knowing that stress causes these really intense problems, how do we tackle it? I'm going to share my screen here just so I can draw a little bit, and we're going to put a whiteboard up so I can draw on this because you guys know how I like to teach. But in any case, there are three different kinds of nervous systems in your body, and I know a lot of you guys have heard me say this before. So the first type of nervous system is called your parasympathetic nervous system. The other type of nervous system is called your sympathetic nervous system. And then you have what's called your adrenal system. Okay? These different nervous systems in your body control very specific things in your body, and they're active at certain times. So your parasympathetic nervous system over here is going to control your rest, okay, and your digestion. Okay. Your adrenal system is going to control your stress response with certain hormones. These are hormones like cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline. Okay. These are really nasty hormones that are typically reserved for very, very stressful situations. And I'm not talking about the kind of stress where you have an email to get out and you're stressed about what time the email goes out. I'm talking about the type of stress where you're in the middle of the woods, you're getting chased by a bear, and you need to run. Your kid is stuck under a bus and you need to lift the tire off of your child. Those kind of feelings. Heart's racing, pupils dilate, palms are sweaty, you have an unexplainable amount of strength, okay? This is like real stress, okay? Bear stress, okay? Here's the thing. If you are not being chased by a bear and you are not resting or digesting food, your sympathetic nervous system controls it. Okay? That means 90% of the day, you should be in your sympathetic nervous system. Everything that you should be doing should be in your sympathetics. You and I are talking to each other right now. We're going to be paying attention to each other. You should be using your sympathetic nervous system to do that. You're not resting. right now. You're not digesting food right now, and there's no bears chasing you. You should be in your sympathetics. The most interesting part about these nervous systems is you cannot be in more than one at a time. You're either in parasympathetics, adrenals, or sympathetics. You can't be in more than one at a time. Since 90% of your activities are in your sympathetic nervous system, we want to know how long are you supposed to be there, and how long can your body tolerate you being in sympathetics, okay? So the most recent study on this is from a book. It's called Rest. It is fantastic. You should pick it up and buy it. It's a black and white cover with 2 sandals on the front. And the most recent study on sympathetic tone or tolerance is that your sympathetic nervous system can only be active for 8 hours. Okay, you cannot be in sympathetics for more than 8 hours. So if everybody has a pen and paper and a calculator together, I want you to do a little math real quick. This is a simple exercise. Grab a piece of paper and a pen. Or even type it in the comments below if you want to interact with somebody. We'll do the math for you. I want you to tell me what time you wake up. Okay, just tell me what time you wake up in the comments below. Okay. So most people are giving relatively good answers here. Okay, great. Thanks for participating, everybody. So yeah, 7:30, 7:30. Great. Okay. So most people wake up around, let's call it 7 o'clock just for some easy math. So if you wake up at 7 o'clock, we'll put 7 o'clock right here, 7 a.m. 8 hours past 7 o'clock is what? 3 o'clock? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is 5 hours, and then another 3. Yeah, 3 o'clock p.m. So that means by 3 p.m., your sympathetic nervous system is gassed. You can no longer be in sympathetics. It is gassed out. Okay? That means if you're trying to do anything after 3 o'clock, you cannot use your sympathetic nervous system. If you're trying to do anything other than rest and digest food, you have to use your adrenal system in order to do it. So now anything, any activity after 3 o'clock, you have to release hormones like cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and adrenaline just to do anything. And now sending out an email at 3:30 feels very stressful because you have to release cortisol just to do it. And now driving home at the end of the night is very stressful because you're releasing adrenaline just to drive home. And washing your dishes and getting food together and trying to converse with your spouse, and you have no patience for anybody anymore because you are operating on cortisol and epinephrine because your sympathetic nervous system is totally gassed. You can't be in sympathetics. You have to use your stress hormones to do anything. I hope that makes sense. If anybody has any questions, just put them in the comments and I will try my best to answer them. But that is the whole thing about what we're trying to do today, is trying to tackle stress. If you never enter into stress, if you never allow yourself to get into your adrenal system, you won't feel those hormones working on your system and you won't feel the stress that you're dealing with. Stress and anxiety medications are the #1 prescribed medications right now. #1. Over blood pressure, over diabetes, over heart medication. The #1 prescription medication is anxiety medication because everyone is operating on their adrenal system trying to live off of adrenaline. And now you need a chemical to suppress those chemicals in your body so that you don't feel it anymore. Well, that doesn't make sense. It just makes you feel like a zombie, right? Because now you can't feel anything, not even your stress. So those options are not okay. So the idea here is not that you want to try and eliminate those hormones altogether with a medication. The idea is you just need to allow your sympathetic nervous system to recharge so that you don't enter your adrenal system, so that you don't need to rely on epinephrine and cortisol and adrenaline to just chop an onion, and you're not snapping on your kids at night just doing the dishes. Now, add something to this we're going to talk a little bit about sleep because I think they're very related. If it's 3 p.m. and you've been working off of adrenaline for the entire rest of the day, feeling stressed out, and you're pumping adrenaline through your system from 3 o'clock until your head hits the pillow, probably at midnight, you have just been pumping adrenaline through your system for what, another 8 hours, right? If my math is right there, I don't know if it is, but something like that. Now you're trying to go to sleep with adrenaline circulating through your system because you were just using adrenaline just to wash the dishes. And now you have insomnia. And now you're grinding your teeth at night. And now you're cracking teeth. That's not okay. There's no adjustment in the world that's going to fix that, right? So in the meantime, we're very good at taking care of the symptoms that come along with stress. So if you have stress, you're already stressed out, you're way past this point, you got neck pain, you got headaches, come in, let us take care of it for you. But you need to start implementing these next practices, this one very simple solution so that you can create a long-term solution. For the acute pain that you currently have, come in, we'll take care of it for you. But for the long-term solution, the next thing I'm going to tell you is how you're going to really like solve the problem. Okay. So if anybody needs to make an appointment, raise your hand. Missy's in the background. She'll make an appointment for you if you have pain or anything like that. But here's the trick. Okay. You need to recharge your sympathetic system. You can't let it gas. It only has a tolerance of 8 hours. So if you're working nonstop from 8 hours from when you wake up, 7 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock, there's nothing recharging your system. And you can't rely on coffee because that's not sustainable either. The only system we have not talked about right now is this guy over here. It is your parasympathetic nervous system. And again, it controls your rest and your digestion. Interestingly enough, it takes care of two problems: digestion, which a lot of people have digestive problems right now, and resting. When you enter your parasympathetic nervous system, and you engage your sympathetic nervous system, remember, you cannot be engaging any other system. So you shut off your sympathetic system and you allow it to recharge. You allow those hormones to recirculate. You allow your body to make those hormones again so that you can be back in sympathetics and not gas it to rely on your adrenals. So you have to enter your parasympathetics. That shuts everything off. How do you enter your parasympathetics? You need to eat some form of food and kick in the digestive part of what's happening. And you need to intentionally rest. Very, very important. Everybody misses this piece. You can't take a lunch, scarf down a wrap, and be shooting out emails. It doesn't work like that. You're not resting. You're engaging your sympathetic system because you're still trying to work and wolfle down some food. Okay? You can't do that anymore. So this is all over Scripture. This is a very biblical principle. Okay, so in me you'll find your rest. I am the rest that you need. On the seventh day, God did what? God rested. We're talking about the creator of the universe taking a rest, right? Why does the creator of the universe need to rest? Right? It seems counterintuitive. So the reason for that is because rest is very, very important. It is a biblical principle. And now science is kind of catching up to what rest is doing, which is what I want to share with you guys today. When you enter your parasympathetic nervous system and you start to rest, your body starts to recharge its sympathetic hormones. You get a full, complete 8 hours, totally recharged battery, completely new 8 hours of sympathetic tone if you rest for 15 minutes. All you have to do is take a nice quiet rest for 15 minutes and all your stress will go away. And I know it sounds crazy and nobody else is talking about this because there's no money in resting. Okay, there's lots of money in anxiety medications and go, work, go harder. Everybody's got to push. You got to put 10,000 hours in if you want to be a master of anything, right? That's what everybody wants to hear. How do I become the best self? How do I work harder? How do I solve yada, yada, yada? Okay, no, there's no money in just taking a break. Okay, so it's a very hard message to get out. It's very simple. If you rest for 15 minutes, you get a whole new 8 hours of sympathetic tone. You don't need to access your adrenal glands. You don't need to release cortisol just to chop an onion now. And you're not staying up all night with adrenaline pumping through your system, going through insomnia. You don't have to do that anymore. All you need to do is rest. So what does rest mean? That's probably pretty much like the most common question that I get after this. So I'm just going to take some of these things out of here and do something else. But while I'm doing that and cleaning up the screen, if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to write them in the comments below there. There's a little chat box if you guys haven't seen it yet. You can just hit the chat and write a comment in there or a question, and I'll get to it. So there are 3 types of brain waves in your body. You have what are called alpha brain waves, you have beta brain waves, and then you have delta waves. Okay? Alpha brain waves are the most active brain waves in your body. Okay? They are very active brain waves. These are the 2 types of brain waves that would be involved in your sympathetic system and your adrenal glands. Okay? Beta brain waves are less active brain waves. They're slightly lower. You're not yet sleeping, but you're just kind of chilling. Okay? You're praying. You're meditating. You're sitting on a park bench, watching the birds, enjoying the sunshine. Okay? This is when you first enter your parasympathetics. Okay? So we want to try and get you into beta waves. Okay, that means you're not reading an email, you're not listening to music, you're not doing anything where you're engaging your sympathetic system. You're just trying to relax. You can shut your eyes, you can kick your feet up, you can do whatever you need to, but we don't want to do that for too long because something else is going to happen. The last brainwave that we haven't talked about yet is called delta waves. Delta waves are much less active waves. These are the waves that you use when you are sleeping, and now you are asleep. So if you are in your parasympathetic nervous system for more than 26 minutes, after 26 minutes, you start entering into delta waves. Okay? And now you are sleeping. So we don't want to get into delta waves because that is not productive. That you can't do that in the middle of your day. You can't just go take a nap, right? So the take-home message here is if you're going to kick back, shut the lights off, and kick your legs up and close your eyes, that's fine. But don't do it for more than 30 minutes, because if you do that for more than 30 minutes, your body's going to start releasing chemicals to put you to sleep and get you into delta waves. And if you nap for a half hour, you're going to wake up feeling like crap because you have all these chemicals circulating your system trying to keep you asleep. So don't do that. 26 minutes is the cutoff. My wife sets an alarm for 26 minutes because that's just the type of person she is. I tell my patients to do it at 20 minutes. So it's 15 to 20 minutes of rest. Don't go past that point. Give yourself that little 6-minute buffer so you don't start releasing those chemicals, and that will solve 90% of your stress problems, I promise you, unless for some reason you start getting chased by a bear or your kid is stuck under a bus. Then those hormones are supposed to be working. You want them to work for those situations. They're not supposed to be working when your boss calls you. You're not supposed to release those hormones when that happens, okay? You're not supposed to be releasing those hormones when the deadline's approaching tomorrow. Those situations are not supposed to feel stressful. They feel stressful because to address those problems, you have to release cortisol and adrenaline just to engage with those issues that you're coming up against. It's why you feel less stressed in the morning than you do at the end of the day, because your sympathetic system is recharged. It's easier to feel stressful as the day goes on because you're gassing your sympathetic system and you need to rest. You haven't rested yet. So schedule it into your calendar. We need to be very intentional about resting now, because I think that the culture that we've created has really come, and the book does a really good example and a really good job of trying to address why we do this now. And I'll put the link here in the comments. If anybody wants to check this book out, it's fantastic. That's where I got most of this information from. But basically, what happened is you have this industrial revolution in the early 1900s, 1930s, 1940s, something like that. And, you have the war happening, and you have women coming into the workforce, and they're trying to create a culture of working hard, which is good. You should work hard. That's also a biblical principle, right? Hard working is what God wants from your life. You should be working hard. That's good. It's a good thing to do. But the problem is we've created a society where we're working so hard without ever resting. The benefit of that time frame when hardworking society was really being pushed was work, 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 right? Wake up in the morning, have your breakfast, drink your coffee, clock in at 9 o'clock, work, 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 work your ass off, right? Do as much as you can, be a hard worker. And then 8 hours later, when your sympathetic system's gassed, 8 hours later, guess what? 5 o'clock, clock out, go home, relax, kick your feet up, have dinner with your family, right? We don't do that anymore. Now we're waking up at 7 o'clock. It's go, go, go right away. You shower, you brush your teeth, you barely have time for breakfast. You're microwaving something and flying out the door. Right? And then what do? You just go right for the coffee. You got to supercharge your system right away. You're shooting out emails and everything else, and you don't shut off. You haven't stopped working until 9 o'clock at night. And it's dinner time, and you're still on your phone trying to get something out, right? It's not okay. We're gassing ourselves. It's like the hardworking ethic that was then doesn't translate now because technology doesn't allow us to shut off. Even when you're not working, you're still technically in your sympathetic system when you're scrolling through Facebook, reading articles or watching YouTube videos. You're engaging with that, right? You're still engaging yourself. So we have to be very intentional about shutting off and shutting down and turning off, unplugging for 15 minutes at a time so that we're not releasing and relying on those stress hormones that make us way too strung out, and it's ruining our relationships. It's messing up our relationship with God. It's messing up our relationship with our spouse. We're snapping on our kids. We don't have patience for anybody anymore. You want to have those things. You don't want to treat those people that way, but you just feel like you have to because cortisol is making you crazy, right? And you got to calm those hormones down. And the only way to do that is to intentionally be resting. And I'll tell you what, man, my wife and I have done this, and our relationship is 1,000 times better. My wife's not cracking teeth anymore. She doesn't have any headaches anymore. She can get through a work day and smile and not be stressed out about the deadline tomorrow. She works for a really intense company. It's called Deloitte. They're like the top 4 consulting firms in the country. She is a senior manager at that company. It's a really high stress, intense job. It's a really high turnover rate. And I've never seen her happier. And all she has to do is take a 15-minute rest. And she goes downstairs. She works from home. She goes downstairs. She sits on the deck. She kicks her feet up, and she just looks at the sky for 15 minutes. She prays. That's it. She doesn't read her Bible. She doesn't listen to music. She doesn't read a blog article or anything like that. She doesn't do her nails. She doesn't do her hair. She doesn't do the dishes because she's taking a break from work and she's got to get something else done and sweep the floor. No. She sits down in a nice comfy chair and she kicks her feet up and she just looks at the sky and prays for 15 minutes. And she's the happiest she's ever been. And I do the same thing. I take breaks in here. I encourage my employees to do the same. There's massage chairs in the back. Like you'll see people in here all the time just resting in the middle of the day. It's really, really important. You have to figure out a way to do it. Otherwise, the stress is just going to kill you. And the anxiety is going to kill you. And your blood pressure is going to go up. And your organs are going to jack up. And the cortisol is going to be released. You're going to get adrenal fatigue. Your eyes are going to hurt. And all the symptoms that you've been having for so long, that you've been seeing the chiropractor for and that you've been seeing the massage therapist for, are going to keep coming back if you can't just implement 15 minutes of resting throughout your day. That's the long-term solution. That's what I want you guys to try and achieve. And in the meantime, while you're trying to battle these things, I'll be more than happy to take care of your headaches for you. We're really good at it. I'll be more than happy to take care of your shoulder tension for you. We're really good at it. Anybody who's been here before knows we get rid of your symptoms, but they keep coming back, right? So this is the long-term solution. So I got a question here. How many hours after I wake up should I do the 15-minute rest? Before the 8-hour mark every time. So if you are waking up at 7 and your 8-hour mark is at 3 o'clock, that means before 3 o'clock, you need to have taken that rest, right? So let's call it 2:30. You take your 15-minute rest at 2:30. You wake up at 2:45. You start working in at 3. 8 hours past then is what? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It should be midnight. There's no reason why you should be up at midnight anyway. Now you should be sleeping, doing your second rest. So you only need to rest one time a day. Unless you're waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, that midday rest is the only rest you need. The second rest is when you go to sleep. And then you wake up and you recharge your sympathetic system. So you only really need to rest one time. That's a great question. So how many hours after you wake up should you do the next 15-minute rest? Before every 8 hours. So every 7.5 hours you should be resting, which really should only be one time throughout the day. I hope that makes sense. Cool. So I'm going to stop the screen share real quick so you guys can see me if you need something. And other than that, I mean, I see some people in here that that have been patients in the past. I see some people that are not patients as well. So thanks everybody for joining. If you're a patient and you need to make an appointment, we're back open. So I don't know if you saw our video or not on our new sanitation policies and procedures and stuff, but we're back open. We're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that you have a safe environment here. You know, it's really important to try and be cautious of what's happening right now. And we want to make sure that we're trying to abide by the rules and we're making sure that it's safe for our community. But I've gotten way too many text messages and way too many emails of people just begging me to come back because they're suffering at home. And I had to make the decision that, you know, patient care is also just as important. So we thought really, really hard, and we decided to just create an extreme amount of policies and procedures to make sure it's just completely sanitized in here. So, you know, we're washing the tables between every patient. There's limited amount of people who can come through here. We're washing our hands. There's 2 different buckets for pens. I mean, it's crazy. But I just want to let you know it's so safe. If you have something and you need to be seen, we're available. So Missy can make an appointment for you. And if you're new to our office, or if you know somebody who needs to be seen, we're doing something right now. If they can make an appointment, we're doing like a free exam. So just raise your hand and we'll get you a certificate out so you can get a free exam and come in and get all your whatever needs to be taken care of, at least looked at and addressed, get your questions answered. So does anybody have any questions before we wrap it up? This is supposed to be a quick 30-minute, stress-free, one trick to solve your stress. I hope that was an easy trick. It's so easy. If you don't have 15 minutes, something's wrong, okay? Try and be intentional. Get your 15 minutes. Set an alarm on your phone. But if anybody has any questions, I'll take them. We'll let it sit for about another minute, and then I'll close the webinar out. Thanks, guys, for joining. I hope this helped. By the way, keep up on our website. We're doing these webinars like a lot now. It's just slower in here, so I want to still keep engaged with everybody. And if you have anything specifically that you need or would like a webinar on, you know, we can do stuff on plantar fasciitis and running and gait mechanics or whatever you're dealing with, whatever the next webinar is going to be. Keep an eye on our website and keep an eye on the emails. We'll try and keep them out to you and let you know what the next webinar is going to be on. So. Thanks so much, everybody. I wish you good health, and I'll see everybody soon. No problem. Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, go take your rest now. That's awesome. See you guys.